Hello, candle lovers. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Greg, and this is all about candles. And I have a review for you today from Bath & Body Works. This is Lakeside Morning from the newly sort of revamped White Barn core line. I'm guessing we're probably going to be seeing the candles in this collection on the shelves for at least a couple of years. I think they look so much better than the old White Barn packaging with the sort of matte finish to them and the smaller labels. And those candles were quite notorious for being bad performers, not just in terms of strength and throw, but just always dudding out at the halfway point. So I was really interested to see if this revamped collection was going to be any sort of an improvement on like the older White Barn core collection. And I can at least say that with this candle, at least in terms of like the burn quality and whatnot, it was an improvement. The scent notes on Lakeside Morning are crisp autumn air, white driftwood, and a hint of green apple. And I've got to say, I've never really picked up on the apple note in this candle. To me, this is a fairly salty, straightforward, they call it a lake, but it smells a bit more like an ocean to me. There's definitely like a briny, aquatic vibe to this candle. And it's quite simple, but it's quite nice. There's a bit of a woodsiness. I still don't pick up on that fruit, but I feel like there may be like a little bit of a bergamot in here, and maybe even just a touch of like eucalyptus as well. It reminds me a little bit of a sort of softer version of Frozen Lake from Bath & Body Works. And it's a nice enough fragrance, but not particularly interesting or special. I feel like, especially at this time of year, these sort of salty, airy, aquatic candles are a dime a dozen. And so I'm really looking for something to give it a bit of a punch and make it a little bit more interesting. It smells exactly like the old Lakeside Morning smell to me. It doesn't smell to me like they really tinkered with the fragrance, but I do think that they tinkered with the formula a little bit. It had the thin core wicks on it, and man, it was a barn burner. Like, it really got going in a really quick period of time. You had to keep an eye on it. I think the longest that I could let this candle burn was probably about 2 hours, because those flames would just get high and mighty, and I did catch it sooting a couple of times. However, I prefer that over a candle that's like dudding out and never gets going and sucks after the halfway point. Every single burn on this one was like a barn burner. Like, keep your eye on it, because you're gonna have to limit your burn time to considerably less than 3 hours. I really think the longest that I could let this one go was 2 hours. And then on the very last burn, I did let it go off a little bit longer and ended up with a little bit of discoloration. But for the most part, since I monitored it really closely when I was burning it, it was really nice and clean, and it didn't get discolored until the end there. But like I said, that's because I was really keeping an eye on it, you know? So I have no problems in terms of how it burned, because like I said, I'd rather it be roaring than it be dudding. And a lot of these White Barn core candles would always just be dudding out on you and not giving you anything. So I'd much prefer this. Strength and throw wasn't fantastic though, and honestly I thought it was a little bit inconsistent, but I think the highest that I can say this got up to was like maybe a 5.5. I feel like saying this got up to a 6 would be just a little bit too generous. It was fairly lost in my more open area. I felt like I needed to be standing fairly close to it to detect it. So I would maybe give it a 4.5 or a 5 in my more open space. And in the bedroom is when it got up to about a 5.5 for strength and throw. And yeah, I'd have to say that that was the max on it. This isn't really a candle that I would recommend. I just think that there's candles out out there that are similar to this, that are so much nicer. In particular right now, I really like Sea Salt Caribbean from Bath and Body Works. This just wasn't that interesting, didn't have the best strength and throw, and really did need to be babysat, or else you were gonna end up with a problem. Like, this is just one of those candles where I'm thinking to myself, like, God, what if I was to let this burn for 4 hours? Would it catch on fire? Like, would it? Would it have caught on fire? This lakeside morning was a bit of a forest fire around the lake, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, this isn't going to be a repurchase for me or a recommendation for you. There's just better candles out there that are similar to this. However, I'm glad that I've tried it. I do think that it performed a lot better than the last version of Lakeside Morning that I did in terms of like just cleanliness and being able to finish the whole candle without it dying out. Just not the most interesting fragrance in the world. Anyways, that's all I've got for you folks today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. You can follow me on Instagram at allaboutcandles. You can email your burning questions to allaboutcandles@gmail.com. If you could hit me up with a like, a comment, subscribe to my channel, that would mean the world to me. And until next time, my dear, gorgeous, and beautiful candle-loving friends, let's burn some candles and bitch about it. Thanks, you guys. Bye for now.